So guys, the United States is at their old tricks again. They are trying to force African countries to accept deportees from the US, regardless if they are from that country or not. So, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger rejected this offer. So now they're trying to punish these countries by telling them they cannot have any visa granted to anybody from these countries to visit the country. But the Burkina Faso presidents and the AES Sahel nations president did not fast or did not buckle. They still stand tall and said, no, we're not accepting deportees as not our own citizens. So anyway, take a listen to what the minister said at length, and then we're going to come back and talk about it. Boom.
Good evening, Mr. Minister.
Good evening, Ms. Kerry.
So, according to this information circulating on social media, we learned that Burkinabe citizens applying for US visas will now have to go to Lomé in Togo for the formalities. Can you confirm this?
So, I must say that it was with surprise indeed that we received this very evening a verbal note from the United States Embassy in Ouagadougou, which actually confirmed this rumor that had, until now, been circulating on social media. Officially, the primary reason explicitly stated in this formal verbal note is that Burkina Faso, much like several other African countries across the continent, is currently placed on a comprehensive list of states whose respective nationals have unfortunately not fully complied with the established visa usage regulations and associated protocols. This concerns tourist visas as well as student visas. And so, for this reason, the United States Embassy has been, let's say, prompted to take this measure. They have temporarily suspended the issuance of tourist and student visas to all Burkinabe citizens, who will now be required to go to their embassy in Togo to obtain these documents. The official note, of which I have a copy, also specifies that the procedures will have to be restarted, not only for registration, but also for payment in order to obtain these visas at the United States Embassy in Togo. So this confirms that what had previously been considered a rumor has now been confirmed by the United States diplomatic mission here in Burkina Faso. I have mentioned these reasons as the official grounds. It turns out that the official note we received contains suggestions that refer to an agreement the United States has been trying to propose to the Burkinabe side since the Trump administration took office. As soon as that administration began, La Masa approached us to make this proposal as part of the implementation of the American migration policy. What was it about? It was about offering African states that wish to participate, since they are involved in a process of identifying and expelling nationals living in the United States who are not in compliance with their residency, to expel them. The proposal that was made was to see if Burkina Faso, apart from our own nationals, was willing to receive other people who would be expelled by the United States. Naturally, this proposal, which we considered at the time to be indecent, is completely contrary to the value of dignity that is part of the dignity of the European Union, and fundamentally opposed to the vision of Captain Ibrahim Traore. We said that Burkina Faso could not be that destination. After that, we subsequently had several extensive meetings, always along precisely the same lines of discussion, and we clearly understood that he was absolutely insistent that we definitively agree to this particular measure. With the adoption of the decree making visas free, they came back again to say, we see that there is a Pan-African spirit, and since visas are now free, are you willing to receive non-Burkinabe nationals who wish to travel to Burkina Faso? Our response was quite clear. Wishing to come freely to Burkina Faso, who personally pays for their own travel ticket, is genuinely welcome here in Faso. So they decide for themselves, they buy their ticket, we give them a free visa, and they can come to Burkina Faso. Nationals who are under orders to choose a destination. Because we are a country with free visas, we would become a destination for deportation. This position was quite clear. Burkina Faso is a destination. Burkina Faso is not a land for deportation. And we made this clear by stating that the decision of Captain Ibrahim Traore, which consisted of offering hospitality to all Africans, should not be seen as an opportunity for a third country to get rid of certain populations that it considers undesirable. We remain a land of welcome, an open land. All Africans, as long as they wish, are free to make the decision to come here. Just yesterday, I had a meeting with the US Embassy, a meeting during which we once again discussed this issue. It was the umpteenth time we had discussed it, because when I was at the United Nations General Assembly in New York, I had a conversation with the Under-Secretary of State in charge of this issue, who once again brought up the possibility of offering us free visas as an incentive. We repeated the same thing. So it's curious that it's only after we confirmed for the umpteenth time our refusal to accept undesirable nationals and to consider our country as a land for deportation, which is both unworthy and indecent, that this happens right after that decision was made. So you can understand with me that the connection is quickly made. Is this a form of pressure? Is this blackmail? In any case, it's important to clarify that in the vision of the Popular Revolution of Burkina Faso, this is a land of dignity, and Burkina Faso will remain a land of dignity, a destination, and not a land of deportation.
So, Mr. Minister, precisely, we have learned about the upcoming visit at the end of October of Afro-descendants to Burkina, or rather to Burkina Faso. Is this visit connected to the decision that has just been made by the American authorities?
I would say clearly no. And as you may know, we were surprised by this measure, which came suddenly after our categorical refusal to accept people who are considered undesirable. This is not to label them as undesirable people. It is related to the fact that the current policy of the government in place, unfortunately, sees every foreign national as a threat. This is very serious, and it is what we have repeated. And to the American representation that among these people there are many Africans, many Latin Americans, many non-Americans who live there, who have sacrificed their lives and who have contributed to building peace and the economy of the United States. They have done every kind of job there is. They meticulously cleaned out the extensive sewers, diligently swept the bustling streets, and compassionately took care of vulnerable people in various nursing homes. Indeed, they worked tirelessly in virtually every essential service sector to provide all Americans with a truly decent and respectable quality of life. Yet, these very same hardworking individuals are now unfortunately identified as undesirable simply because they initially entered the country illegally. It is indeed a sovereign measure, but this measure cannot be, let's say, the main reason just to identify random destinations in Africa and go drop them off there. So, to return to the question of Afro-descendants, the Afro-descendants who wish to come to Burkina Faso are brothers and sisters who want to reconnect with their own history, to discover themselves. They see in Burkina Faso a land with which they identify. They come here out of love, and many of them wish to settle down. In Burkina, I should point out that many expect to acquire Burkinabe nationality, and we are working on preparing for this stay. So these people are coming freely. These are not people who are being forced to choose a destination. It should not be confused. And anyone who decides to come freely, who is not required to stay within an area defined by a state, to say you are required to leave, now here is a list of countries from which you must choose your destination. These people can come here peacefully. So these are two different things, and we will always work to remain a welcoming land for all these people. But as I said, we are not a place for people to stay in the heart of the city. Deportation So it's quite clear, and I want to reassure our Afro-descendant brothers and sisters who are planning to visit Burkina Faso that they will always be at home here, and that we will take measures to ensure they truly feel in Africa, that they feel they are on a land of dignity.
So, Mr. Minister, in light of the decision being discussed tonight, this decision by the American authorities, how do you see the future of cooperation between Burkina and the United States?
Burkina Faso has always been completely open to constructive dialogue and discussion. What is new today, through the progressive popular revolution, is the emphasis on mutual respect. We will maintain good relations with all states that respect us as human beings, with all states that respect our dignity. Naturally, the measure that has been taken cannot leave us indifferent. In diplomacy, we speak of reciprocity. We will take the necessary measures up to the extent of those taken by the American authorities without compromising the friendship, solidarity, and brotherhood between the peoples of Burkina Faso and the American people. Because we must not confuse things. There is a sense of goodwill between communities, between people who want to work together, but who often find themselves in spaces where authority creates boundaries or walls that separate them. So this is to reassure you that we remain an open land. We remain a country of dialogue, a country that wishes to establish and nurture relationships with all countries that respect us.
Thank you very much, Mr. the Minister in charge of Foreign Affairs. I would like to remind everyone that you came to provide us with information about this decision and about the American authorities who are inviting Burkinabe citizens to go to Togo to obtain an American visa.
So there you have it. So let me just say this briefly. Ibrahim Traore is not somebody you can push around. Actually, not Ibrahim Traore. Let me rephrase that. The AES Alliance is not somebody they can push around. These three countries, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. They follow tell them, no, we're not accepting no deportees from the US that's not our citizens. If they're from our countries, fine, but they cannot force us to take country. You cannot force us to accept other countries' citizens to us. And yes, you have other countries did agree to this, but not these three nations. And with the whole visa, stopping the visa issuing in Burkina Faso, and then now they are telling Burkina Faso citizens that if you want to go to the States, you have to go to Togo, which is the next country, to put in for the visa, and it's high. So, well, he did not say it in this video, but there's a prior video I did where Ibrahim Traore retaliated a while back when he tell all American citizens no longer have free access to Burkina Faso. Now you have to apply for a visa. And then when they had imposed the going to Togo to get the visa for Burkina Faso citizens, Ibrahim Traore stated, well, if you want to get into Burkina Faso, you have to go and apply to our embassy in Russia. So if you give us requirements, we're going to put requirements on you guys. So hence what he did. So that's why it's escalating. But Ibrahim Traore, as I said, cannot be pushed around. He cannot be bossed around. And he don't travel to these countries anyway. He does not leave his country. So, and his citizens don't need to leave either because they have free education, free healthcare. Now they have food sovereignty. They stop importing food. And now they are exporting food. So what are they gonna threaten them with? They have gold. They have a lot of gold in Burkina Faso, and they refine their own gold. They have their own rice, flour. They have a lot of things. Their own cement. So what can it do to them? And they already signed a deal with Russia to build a nuclear plant in Burkina Faso. So what can the US do to this man to threaten him to accept whatever deals they have? You have other presidents that's doing it currently, like Nigeria, Togo, and a few other African countries actually accepting these deportees, whether you're from the country or not. And that is wrong on so many levels, but because like President of Nigeria, Tinubu, he's one of those puppet presidents that's, if the US said jump, he said how high. Former president of Ghana, Nana Akufo, was the same thing, but this new president, what's his name again, Bolo? I forget his name, that's coming to me right now, but he's one of the stronger ones. Like, he's more defiant. He's more of a revolutionary kind of president. Just as the new president of Botswana as well. President why his name escaping me. And even the Senegal president, President Faye, Dayome Faye, the new president, he's a young guy as well. So we have presidents stepping up. And also the female president of Namibia, I forget her name. She also imposed visa requirements on Americans to enter this country. So there are a few countries that imposing visa requirement on Americans. So this is no longer free. You cannot show up and enter our country. So that's a good thing. But Ibrahim Traore is leading the charge of you cannot bully us, you cannot tell us to accept this and because of money. No, we don't play them games. So shout out to Ibrahim Traore. As always, tell a friend if you like this video, you know, like, comment and subscribe, because I'm currently shadow banned and it's affecting the channel grossly. But if you guys can just share the video, that will help the channel to overcome this shadow ban. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Boom.